joined today by the indelible Della Moore. The sound didn't play.
Yeah.
We'll supplement that with a little bit of
Yeah. Shit.
I gotta have fun with the soundboard. We'll let that finish. We'll let the peanut gallery quiet down. Della, I met you at Blues Ensemble, correct?
Yes,
At St.
that's
Bonaventure's Blues Ensemble.
Yes. My pleasure.
We are joining Della today in the heart of her work, her life's work. And so I guess in order to kind of get to that point, my first two questions aren't really questions so much as they are like, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, but I guess what I'm asking is for you to tell us, who is Della Moore? What has your life been like, and how has your life led you to where we are joining you today, and how you got here? So I'll let you take it away and get that mic a little. Get right on that. Remember,
right.
Terry, you want to make Terry proud.
Yeah, I gotta make Terry
Okay.
proud.
All right. Well, that's a heavy-duty question. How much time do we have?
We got as much
As
time as
long-
you want.
Yeah.
You don't want to. No, you want. I don't want to bore you. I don't want to bore you. Yes, honey. Child of God, was blessed beyond measure, and I see His work in getting me to where I am. Let's see what else. What other part of it?
Where are
Very
you?
happy to be alive. Very happy to be here, and enjoy every year, of my 85.
Wow,
So
congratulations,
Couldn't tell.
by the way. You wouldn't know it.
Nothing I did. It's all him. It's all him, and I appreciate it very much, very much. How did I get here? Well, I take it that by that you mean interested in history and also the center. Yes. Okay. I don't want to put
If you could
words.
tell us a little
don't
bit
want to
about
put words in your
a
mouth.
little bit
now.
about the center.
Okay. All right. Oh boy, you got time.
Oh, we got plenty of
Yeah,
time. I
okay.
mean, we've got to kind of build this up to give context.
Okay, all right. Well, I've always been interested in our history, meaning Black history, meaning African American history, because I always felt that African American history is American history, a great part of American history, as is Asian, Native American, and all of that. We all make up American history. I came to Olean in 72, right after Agnes. Agnes left and Della came in. So you had two storms going one way and the other way. All right, that's a joke. All right, and we came to Olean from Philadelphia because we figured that was the best place for, Olean's the best place for our children to be raised, because Philadelphia at that time was not all, it was in the 60s, and it was not all that super great. Environment, friendly. It was friendly, but not safe-wise environment. And so we came here. My husband and children came first, and I came after in 72. And I followed them in 72. Let's see, what else? I never saw so much water in my life.
Yeah.
Because, oh my gosh, I remember standing on the the North Olean Bridge, where the parking shop is, and seeing tables and chairs still floating. And it was after Agnes had gone. So, it was really spooky and all. But I came here and I went to, settled in. We moved several places. I remember when I went, I heard that Alfred State, that's a satellite that Alfred State had here in Olean. It's right where the state trooper forensic place is now on Homer Street. I remember hearing about a class in Shakespeare, and I love Shakespeare. I'm really crazy about Shakespeare. And I went there and met this teacher, Jean Waldock, and she was teaching a class. And then I took it and audited because we had no money. And we eventually, long story short, if I ever could do that, long story short, I wound up taking the credit. I taken the school, going to school for credit, and I remember one time Miss Waldock was going to teach literature, and she was teaching Emily Dickinson and all of the wonderful people that I love so much. And I asked her, I said, why don't you teach about the Harlem Renaissance? And she said, you know more about that than I do, so why don't you teach it? And so then it hasn't stopped since then.
Floodgates are open.
Yes, amen, amen. I wrote a letter to Maya Angelou and asked her, what she liked. I told her I was going to teach this class, and she was going to be in it, and I wanted her to tell us what she'd like the students to hear from her. And it was beautiful. I got a letter back from her secretary, and she was out of town and all. And we even got a picture signed by Maya that went to Jean Waldock. And it was awesome. But that is what led me to speaking out on history. Because history never spoke to me in school. They didn't teach anything but, as I remember it, teach anything but slavery. And it wasn't all that positive, right? They didn't teach the resilience of those enslaved, the perseverance of those enslaved, the inventiveness of those enslaved, and how we got out of it, of those enslaved. They just taught slavery and George Washington Carver. And so what I learned about Black history was from my family and what I read on my own. Philadelphia has great libraries. And so and I've been doing that ever since. And then I come here in 72, and I started talking about, and after that class, and I started talking about Black history, and I'd like to set up something that we can teach Black history, et cetera, and jumpstart to 89 or 90, and I met Jessica Gino, who knew that I had something to offer, and he suggested that I teach a class during Black History Month, and I did, and that grew. That also grew, and then I was talking about to Noah about. Are we allowed to say names?
Oh,
yeah?
yes.
Oh, yeah.
We said your name. You're allowed to say ours.
You've already outed like 10 people so far. Don't worry.
Oh, that's right, too. I mean, about the people who are doing this. Right?
Yeah.
You don't want to be anonymous, right? Okay.
No, we're okay.
Don't you dare. Anyway, so about going to BOCES to learn how to, because I had developed in my little teeny camera. It was a Canon, I think it was. Stories about Black history, about the people, the Black community. And I had a whole bunch of stuff that I wanted to have developed, if they would, into like a 1 minute or a 30-second history of somebody in our area. Just that during their regular programs. All right, this was Channel 6, during their regular programs. And so I spoke to Mary Beth Garvin, and she said, well, you have enough there for a whole half an hour. So why don't you do it for Black History Month? And I did it, and I believe it did for about a year and a half. I had so much material, and I remember sitting in that room and John Tomlin showing us how to do things and all in that little old room that and splicing, and he's showing us how to splice and all. It was so much fun, and we developed a whole. I believe it was a year and a half, worth of stuff. I wish I had some of it back. We did it on VHS tapes, and I left them there. And when I came back, they were taped over. Most of them were taped over. I got some, but most of them were taped over. But I do have one with Billie Holiday, and I do have some of the basic footage, whatever you call that kind of thing, that you make into stuff.
Your stock footage. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, that's what I still have some of that. But so that's how it started. And then I thought it would be cool to have a place to do all of this with. I enjoyed the lecturing. I enjoyed the teaching. I became an adjunct lecturer for JCC. Thank you, Jess. Thank you, God, for Jess and all. And it was wonderful. It was marvelous. And I enjoyed speaking, even though shy.
But there was something more. There was something more that you needed to do with it.
Yeah. So what happened was, I thought, okay, this is it. And I got the chance, I'm skipping a lot. I got the chance to go back to school for Black History. So I went to first of all to Bonaventures, and Bonaventures had no Black history. They had American history. So I took that American history, got my master's in Bonaventures for American history, that using some of Bradford's teachers. Yeah, I used some of that. And then I went, I said, I need to go to a Black college, somewhere I can really do something. But I just put that on hold because I was having a ball and fun with tops. I mean, that was never a job. I had too much fun with that.
That was just something for fun.
I had too much fun with that. I remember, and I often say this, and this is the gospel truth. We get paid on Thursdays.
Yeah,
right?
I remember.
And so, oh yeah, that's right, dude, that's right. And I would walk across I get my paycheck, and I would walk across out to my car or the bus station, whatever the case was at the time, and I would say, because it happened more than once, and I would say, my gosh, they are paying me for this. They're paying for me. And I was grateful because I needed the money, but they're paying me for this. It was so much fun. Well, anyway, and so I put that on the back burner about going back to school because I figured there was no place in the area I could go. And so I was walking down, we'll get to the center in a couple of minutes, okay? I was walking down the aisle at Tops one day, and I suddenly had oh my gosh, it was probably like Paul into Saul, or Saul into Paul. It was like a vision. It just swept right through me just beautiful. I saw myself, wow. I saw myself walking across a campus, right? And wearing my favorite outfit, which was jeans and a blazer, and I had my briefcase. And somehow, instinctively, I knew it was Temple University. Don't ask me how I knew that. And so the urge was to go and apply. So first of all, I applied at Cornell. And oh my gosh, I'm sorry, Cornell, but you're really expensive. And then I applied for Temple, and I didn't have enough. They said I did not have enough experience for Black history, but for a doctorate. That's what I wanted, my doctorate. But I remember the letter, would you accept a master's? And I said, Yes.
I guess I'll accept it.
Yes. So I did. And so right then after it, I took a leave of absence from Tops, and they were awesome good about that. After 32 years, they were awesome.
I would hope so.
They were awesome. No, they were awesome anyway. They're awesome. Tops is A-OK. Anyway, so I took a leave for them and went to Temple and learned, taking a Black Studies program, and eventually got my master's in Black Studies. The thing is that I couldn't do both, so I had to resign from Tops, retire from Tops, kicking and screaming. I want the world to know. But this other opportunity, there was no way I could not take it. And so I was getting ready to come back. The last class at Temple was Black Women's Studies. And I was getting ready to come back, and there was a woman from International Foundation for Education and Self-Help based out of Arizona that came to speak to our class. It was all black class. And she said that Africa needs your help. And I don't know what it is with me, but this left arm won't stay down. So I guess I had no idea, had no intention of going to Africa, did not realize that I wanted to go and what have you at all. And so finally, a lot of us signed up, but I was the only one to go. Mm-hmm. And it surprised the heck out of my family. They didn't think I was, going to go. Why you want to go to Africa? No, don't go. That's too far away. It's all dangerous and everything. But I did. And so forth. So I did not walk down the aisle at Temple to receive my diploma because I was in Arizona, getting ready to go to Arizona and to transfer over to Africa. And, oh, my gosh, it was quite a wonderful experience, a great experience. We taught everything. We bought our own books. We taught everything. And the students were fantastic. So when I came back here, I couldn't teach because, I'm sorry, meaning no disrespect to a lot of the students nowadays, but I just could not. In Africa, the students dressed for success. They dressed, they didn't have, I came home to people in pajamas going to class, and I just, wow, it just blew me away.
The difference in value.
Yeah, it just, oh my gosh, it was. So anyway, but I did. My plan was to stay in Africa for 2 years, come back and get that stuff that we have to use to not to get malaria and stuff at medicine out of my system, and then go back. But unfortunately, I developed a couple of parasites in my system. Came home at 118 pounds.
Wow.
So, my family was not hearing any of that. That was out of the question. So, but I'm talking about how God is in everything we do, for me anyway. And so this came up. We came home, and Sarah Johnson's house, Sarah Johnson, who's the enslaved person who ran away from those who enslaved her, and wound up in Olean. Okay, and her house was for sale, but it was on it was, what do you call those places? Things that it was by default of auction.
A foreclosure auction.
Yeah, foreclosure. There you go. You guys are great. You guys are wonderful. So and but I just missed it. It was so. And then I started talking about doing something else and having a place that we can do that to. And so jump ahead to 2010. A group of us, there were five of us who said we can organize and an African American Center. We labored over the name and everything, but so many names were taken. So we came up with the African American Center for Cultural Development. And I wanted all that on the webpage, but they said, no, we should have it shortened. I said, no, make people stretch. Well, we have it shortened. Anyway, so anyway. And so we went over it. We went to Buffalo. We went to different places asking other cultural centers how they do it and everything. And we applied for our 501. We got incorporated, and we did everything we were supposed to do. Very hard work, and I appreciate all the work everybody put into it. And 2010, during Juneteenth weekend, we opened up the African American Center for Cultural Development. And we were first based out of Bethlehem Church, which is on Green Street, and we had displays and everything there. And then we went to several other places because they were just temporary, several other places. And then finally, during just before COVID, we lost showers. We were in showers and all. And so we were out of there, and then COVID came, so everything was, on hold. And then at COVID, basically the end of COVID, not the end of COVID, it's not ending, but about the 21st, 2021, a friend of mine came by and said he'd like to help, And then another friend of mine said that her husband had wanted to talk to me because he has and I called him up and said, "What's up?" He said, "I think I have a house for you if you guys want it." And so we wanted it, and we started everything going. I think it was the 2021, and started. We had a contract, sort of. We had a grant, which was the Downtown Revitalization Initiative grant, and it was in cooperation with, in partnership with a wonderful friend of mine, Kevin Doherty, and for the church at the end of Barry Street, on East Barry Street. And so we had, my board had a meeting, and first of all, we asked the powers that be, the people in the DRI, well, we have a grant in partnership with Kevin, so what does that mean? Can we do this? And so they said, well, yes, you can do this, you can. And I said, as long as you can do this. So anyway, I did talk to my board about it, said we have an option to have a house deeded to us. And so, and they said yes. So I said, okay, don't say anything to anybody. I want to talk to Kevin myself. And so I did. And when I told him about it, and he said, go for it. He said, go for it. And he looked at me like, so what? Go for it. And I always be
what do you need my approval for?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, but it was only right to to talk to him about it. And so that's what we did. And then we got people to work on it. But note that this is still COVID. And to get somebody, the contractors, they had their own big jobs and stuff. This is a big place for us to get into shape, but it's a small place for the contractors. Mm-hmm. And then eventually the materials started rising in prices.
Oh yeah.
So that made it hard and stuff. We still, wrecked through it and all. And so this is what we ended up on the first floor. But that's the money went as far as the first floor. So this is why we're here now.
Still work in progress.
Oh, yeah, yes. Oh, absolutely. The two things. I'll go to the first thing first. It's how God works, because I wanted Africa so badly. I could taste it. I wanted to go back there so badly. I could taste it. And so, but I gave in because after all, it's common sense. I 110 pounds for a 5'9" person. That's kind of
What's more important, your health or
And so, and then this came along. I don't say this came along. I know who is behind this, and I just I'm so focused on this so bad.
You were in the right place at the right time,
exactly.
and it's like, this is what I'm called to.
Mm-hmm. This is it. And guess what? The lectures still go on. In fact, I just yesterday, excuse me, went to the miners' cabin. Ishiway Valley Historical Society, and spoke, and it was fantastic. It was nice, and I lecture all over. So that's still going on. So yeah. So this is it. We didn't mess with the integrity of the house. It's a beautiful house, and it's strong. Oh, did it ever give those contractors a hard time? Yeah. So all we did was take down walls that were, put up and before, and change things. Handicap, we had to go with codes, and the handicap bathrooms. We got 2 bathrooms now. And everything is all. We got an exhibit hall. We got an event hall. We got a theater. And we're going to have eventually underground railroad. The basement is going to be the interactive underground railroad.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That'll be incredible.
Upstairs is going to be 125th Street, which is going to be the broadcast room, and where we're on podcasts and what you're doing, right? And also a conference room, classroom to help young business people to help hone their skills and stuff, and in partnership with the business community here. And also it's going to be art gallery and a children's room.
Wow. That's
So
a lot on your
got
plate.
it all planned out.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of getting it there.
And then one day I was just thinking about how we're going to do all this, and it came to me to ask for, I want 300 people to commit to giving $10 a month to the center. And that will be sustainability, because that's what grants people look for.
That's what they want.
Yes, look for. Yes. So that's one of the things they look for. So, and I have about, I want to say 18 now that does that. Some
So
give
we're
more.
a little
some
over
give less.
halfway there.
Yes. He does that. That's awesome. So yeah. So it's all cool, and it's just I can't stay away from this place, And each thing I change things around, and speaking of the business part of when I said the help from the business community, networking and partnership is so important. JCC is fantastic. They are so awesome. We have our Juneteenth over there sometimes, yeah. And we had the Colored Musician Club come from Buffalo and stage a presentation over there, and that's awesome. That was awesome. We're going to have them back, too. We are going to have them back. Let's see. And TOPS has been absolutely fantastic. I mean, no matter who's in charge, they've been awesome. Della, whatever you want, don't forget. If you don't ask, like that, like that. And every Black History Month, I have a presentation there, present there, and eventually a presentation. The Olean Museum, the center has a presence there, So we're cool.
So you're everywhere.
Oh yeah. And I don't understand why people can't say they can't find me.
Well, it's not. I see you driving around all the time, and when I was trying to get a hold of you to schedule this, I was like, "Oh, there's Della driving. I should just follow her to wherever she's going and stop and accost her." But I always kind of stop myself because I'm like, maybe that's not the best way to do it.
No, that's all right. It's okay. As long as you see that orange soul there, just come on in. It's fine. But yeah, but people have accused me of driving so focused like this. They're waving like crazy, and then I'm
You're on a mission.
with my music and stuff. Yeah,
Exactly.
that's cool. Yeah, but I thought, but no, I try to be available.
So,
Honestly.
as you've been doing this over the years, how has the community response been? Have you seen participation really start to swell in recent years, or how's your kind of trajectory over the years?
It's been wonderful.
Yeah.
It's been marvelous. We had, let's see, the latest thing that we have. We have from like maybe 10 to, I think we had almost 50. I say 45 people. Here, the latest one was we had Kim Rossi and Mary Plonka do. They went to Selma, Alabama, on a trip. Excuse me, a missionary trip. And they brought back a whole lot of stuff. And they brought back a whole slides and everything. And they gave a presentation. It was packed, and they're coming back. Yes. And Juneteenth has been wonderful, marvelous. And you talk about cooperation and stuff. Talk about partnership, okay? Then we talk about cooperation and stuff in light of partnerships, you know what I mean? Our political leaders have been fantastic. They've been awesome. You know, you can talk about assembly, senator, mayors. It's been awesome. So from the grass level, from all the way across to people in power, it's been awesome. It's just been great. Yes. So we have swelled. Mm-hmm. Yes. And it's just encouraging. It's very, very encouraging.
So maybe kind of changing the subject a little bit. Okay. One of the things that kind of, as you were telling us a little bit about your history, that jumped out to me was when you were talking about when you were learning history in school when you were younger and how, there was no Black history. And that was a much different time. And so maybe my question is, what's changed for the better? What's maybe not gotten any better? What's maybe the same, if you've got any thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, it wasn't history, it was social studies. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they still call it social studies.
They do.
Yep. Okay, all right, mm-hmm. Social studies. And I just don't, I'm sure it's Black history as they did the best they could. But I'm sorry, there's a lot of people in those days and maybe now that feel there's not enough Black history to mention. Mm-hmm. And that's such a
pretty outrageous, honestly.
Yeah. I'll take outrageous. Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Not to get political, then I feel like that Florida law that was all those months back where, slavery was good and it taught them valuable skills and this and that. And it's like, that seems so grossly like antithetical to the whole point of this actual history, which is about perseverance and resilience and overcoming, what seemed to be insurmountable odds, and not only overcoming them, but becoming successful in spite of all of that, the atrocity, because I don't know what else to call it.
And helping to build a whole world, you might say, helping to build that, because you think about the inventors and in the face of this adversity, and the people who are still going. And I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
No, for me personally, I think a lot of, culturally the impact. All my favorite music artists, especially when I was learning to play the guitar, first picking it up, they were Black. Mm-hmm. Jimi Hendrix, B.B. and Albert King. I remember listening to Born Under a Bad Sign, and when Albert King says, I can't read, I never learned how to write, my whole life has been one big fight. And it was, for me, it was my diabetes that made the through line of, I feel that my whole life has been a big fight. And simultaneously, I'm also going, and these guys have been through way, way worse. And they still came out on top, and they still persevered, and they were still able to do something.
Yes.
And for me, that was like, man, that's what's beautiful about not just, I guess America, if you want to say that, but just life, just the world, just like being able to see these stories of absolute resilience and being able to say, yeah, I see a piece of myself in them, and that's inspiring for me because maybe I don't have it so bad after all. I'm
sorry.
No, I'm just saying it just kind of opened me up to, okay, there's a lot more depth to what's out there than maybe what we're initially kind of told.
Oh, absolutely.
I feel like the civil rights movement gets framed as like it happened so long ago and it's all better now, and that's just not true.
No, it's not true. It's not true. And aside from the fact that it's my belief, and I really truly believe this, that every person is a history in itself. Every person you see, they've got so much to tell, so much to that they have gone through, and they don't talk about it, but they might not talk about it, and you might not see. And this is what happened to me. I had a friend who he wasn't really a close friend, but it's somebody I admired, and all. And it wasn't until his autobiography, his obituary, that I saw he was in the war. He was a hero. He was on and on. I said, my gosh, I've known that man for years, and I never even knew that. And not that I want to be nosy, but every person is a history, and we can gain by just being and talking to people. Not, as I said, not being nosy, but just the experience of it. And about Black history, it didn't speak to me just as that's the same way as the movies. I hardly saw a Black person, someone that looked like me, in a positive light. And when my heroes were portrayed in the movies, like Billie Holiday is you should see my library at home. I got a picture about the size of this wall of Billie Holiday. Yes, I got it at Temple, by the way. And that's not I'm sorry, it's not coming here.
That's your personal trend.
That's staying right there. And so she gets she gets opportunity to be in a movie. What is he in? A drunk. Yeah. Ella Fitzgerald, a dope addict. So what? Or some maid, or
some stereotype that's fitting for somebody like that.
Yes.
Which is like, I mean, a couple of months ago, sometime last year, I think, I was at some friend's house and we were watching Home Improvement, and those tropes are still there. There's a bar full of white guys, and the one person who's behind the bar serving them is a Black person. They still do it. Not that Home Improvement is like modern or current or anything, but that was like the 90s. Still happening then.
Yeah. Well, then there was a spot in between there that we had the Black exploitation one with Pam Grier and Coffee Brown and all of that. That was and Pamela Dotson, superheroes. The Black community really is realize that this is not true, but it's nice to see somebody win once in a while.
Someone who looks like me win.
Yeah, exactly right. Although Pamela Dotson never, Tamara Dotson, I wish I did, but she was a fox. Anyway, she was 6 feet tall, and all cool. Yeah, but yes. And now, and someone coming through those eras that I mentioned about, first of all, not seeing anybody who looked like you unless it was a subservient role, and then the Black explosion. Yeah, okay, but it's not true, but hey, we'll enjoy it while I got it. And then over to here, where somebody coming from through that and that era and looking through the lens of what was handed to us at that time, And then you see today, you cannot go see a movie without some black presence and in a positive light. I'll take Queen Latifah as the equalizer. I'm not so sure about her daughter, though. She's too bratty. But
that's your personal
that's my personal opinion. Yeah. That brings that from way back there. You respect your elders. You don't go in the room and just, no, she's too bratty. So anyway, but no, then you see that people are lawyers and newscasters and things like that. And to this day, I still remember from before and see, hear, and appreciate that. Because they went through some stuff to get there.
Oh, for sure.
We've got the lens to be able to actually see that perspective.
Absolutely, and I will tell it too. So people, younger people who
that's
think
what's important.
everybody, who thinks this was how it always was, will know that that's not how it was. Yeah. That's not how it was. No, we had to go from Maryland to Olean in the dark, always walking through the dark, but not knowing direction except for that star. Yeah. And when it's dark, you just follow the geese. When it's cloudy, you follow the geese and wind up in Olean and become a respected member of the community until that when we have our funeral, that the church is overcrowded, biggest funeral ever. In that church. Yeah. But she's not just a black woman who's walking the street, and going from store to store and doing her business. So she's history that we should embrace. And that goes for everybody. That goes for Native American, Asian, everybody, So, yeah.
If you were gonna
try not to cry.
No,
Okay.
Cry, it'll give us more views.
Yes, yes.
No, I'm not gonna. I'll never. No.
I'm
If
so
you start crying, I'll cry.
I'm very fascinated by how we talked a little bit before we started recording and how we wanted to know right when I first arrived, how is it taught? That you had the Tuskegee Airmen display, for instance.
Yes.
Steve and I come from. I use the term so lightly because it's education is barely what we do. We did mentorship often for disenfranchised youth in this community often, and we would still get a lens into how schools are teaching these things. You've said a few times that you think that history as it's getting taught or social studies is pretty inadequate. If we're lucky enough,
I say inadequate? Okay, we can use that.
We used a harsher word, but yeah. But if we're lucky enough to say have some local, whether they're officials, whether they're leaders in the schools, education departments, school boards, whatever, if they're listening right now, what lesson would you want them to either take away? How would you like them to change this? Because I know for me, just as a little bit of context, two of my personal most formative heroes are Nelson Mandela and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I didn't come to that appreciation of both of them until after I graduated. Okay. The way we were taught often about Dr. Martin Luther King is all through the positive lens. We don't like to talk too much about how he was treated during that time. And same with characters like Nelson Mandela. And I look back and I'm as a relatively young person, 26 years young now, I look back and I regret not being taught a lot of that stuff. I feel like I missed out. So how would you like to see these things change going forward?
I agree with you. We miss out when we're not shown, what the riches of anybody's history, right? I'd like them to, from what I understand, give the teachers a little bit more room. Because as I understand it now, not being in education, I understand that they are so rigid with what they have to do.
You're teaching to a rubric, which is designed to pass a state test.
Nowadays.
No,
There's
don't-
no room
don't-
for flexibility.
that.
There's no room for anything else.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't please don't. No,
Yeah.
don't teach to pass the test. We should be better than that.
Yeah.
We should be better than that. No, no. That's what I mean. Just give them a little bit more room.
Yeah.
That they can do things like, this is Black History Month coming up. Okay, what can we do? All right, and not be so, as I understand it, so rigid. Now you guys can tell me better than I know about what the teachers have to put up with, but I know they're stressed out big time.
Well,
I'm going to
I think
adjust your mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. Am I doing something wrong?
I think
I'm not trying
It
to-
was just catching if you
think,
hear the difference when I talk with my
Okay.
chin here
Oh, okay.
versus this.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's all.
I think kind of
I'll do
going
my Della Reese.
Yeah.
going back to your earlier point about, how you couldn't teach because kids are just so whatever.
Oh my
I feel like that's a big part of this conversation is that
like
kids are
entitlement.
taught to a test. It's not engaging. They're not learning anything that they are engaged with, that they have any investment in personally. So who cares? Who cares about, I don't want to be here. I'm not enjoying learning. And when there's no joy in learning, and when you don't want to actively learn something, imagine in high school if Noah here is going, oh, I'm interested in Dr. Martin Luther King. I'm interested in Nelson Mandela, and he can go and he can learn about that stuff, all of it, the good, the bad, and the ugly. As opposed to after school, way after school, years after school, going, I'm interested, and I'm going to put it on myself to educate myself.
Yes.
Not everybody has that and develops that skill set, especially in an education system that doesn't inspire us to love learning.
Yes. Yeah,
I think that's a big part of it.
absolutely. And we have teachers in this area and everywhere, I'm sure, in Bolivar and all that are really good teachers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they make things interesting. And I've been blessed by many teachers that make things interesting. But the one who loses out is the student. They're the ones who lose out.
Yeah.
And that's a sad thing. They come to the level of you and I was the same way, that after school, I'm sorry, it's sinuses. After school, you learn on your, or family teach you on their own. When I taught at JCC, or JCC was the only place. When I taught at JCC and in Africa, okay, what I did was, and this is, I thank you, God, for the inspiration. What I did was, at the beginning of the semester, when we all meet together, I have names that I'm going to teach in a hat. And I said, okay, now you guys pick out the names. Everybody picks out a name. And at the end of the semester, and they study that person all the way through. And at the end of the semester, I picked like 5 or 6 to have a press conference. And they are the person they have studied throughout the semester. The others are audience. And you get tested, you get graded on what you know about that person and how you interact with the other people on the press table, and the audience gets tested by their questions and their knowledge also. So that's
a really
what
creative
it is.
way of doing that.
I've always done that. Always done that. And so there's learning throughout. We learn about the collective. I mean, together we learn about each person in that bag, in that hat. But these are extra things that you have to do.
Yeah.
So that's
A little bit of
it.
effort goes a long way,
It
doesn't it?
encourages that individual learning and that sharing of knowledge, no less. Yeah.
Exactly. And hopefully that will extend outside of your classroom.
Yeah.
And in your family and your buddies, So you may play with somebody and have your best friend and not ever have been to their house, How sad is that? So So yeah, and one of the things that also we want to do with the podcast room is talk about, go ask the student to talk to your older people. Talk to Buffalo was here, and they did the interview, and they said, Della, how do you gain so much knowledge of the area? And I said, talk to the old folks. Hang out at McDonald's and what have you. They got the answers. Talk to the old folks. That's it.
They were there. Who better to ask?
Exactly. They know what things was and everything, and they will share it with you and all. But you got to talk to them. You can talk to them by and not just talk to them, speak to them the way we're doing now. Not speak to them like, wait a minute, I should have had this out. Not speak to them like this. Yeah, Mom. What happened there? What kind of stuff is that?
Yeah.
But that's normal. Quote, normal for a lot of people. So yeah.
I definitely, our school did, it's triggering like a deep-seated repressed memory of my high school years. We had a very few times, but they were really enlightening, where we would invite a few elders from the community just to talk in the auditorium.
Nice.
About some things. The one I remember the most is we had one of our history teachers who now runs like he's part of our board for the Oil Museum in Bolivar.
Nice.
He brought in, he managed to get a complete panel of like 6 World War II vets that were still alive at the time, and just got to have them talk to us. Mind you, not every student appreciated it the same way. But little things like that, even if it's not during class hours, if it's open to the community, I definitely wish more schools would use their spaces for things like that, honestly, because maybe I'm just part of a dying breed, but I can listen to old stories all day of the glory days, how this place is described like almost a metropolis, So I definitely wish more spaces that taxpayers funded would be more community oriented too. Yeah.
What a concept.
What a concept.
Well, you also give the teacher more time to do this.
Yeah.
Because you got, those teachers didn't just say, okay, I'm going to be a teacher and they're a teacher. They got training. They got expertise.
I know, yeah.
They got so much on their shoulders.
Yes.
And we don't give them enough, and we may say, hey, you got to teach to this rubric, and you can't have any fun, and it's so down to the wire. If you miss one day, you're behind the 8 ball. And if you've got a student who is, struggling and they can't keep up, the whole class is behind the 8 ball, and you just leave them behind, because it's not about teaching kids to, for the sake of teaching them how to learn and how to be active learners and how to enjoy learning. It's about pushing them through and getting the scores and making sure that, it's 95% reimbursable. So, and it's a shame, because it leaves how many kids behind who don't fit into that system. I was lucky, because I was one of the quote-unquote gifted kids, so I didn't have to try hard. I didn't have to do my homework. I could just half-ass it the whole time and get good grades. But it was not a system that taught me how to learn, and it didn't teach me how to enjoy learning. And it's been really difficult in my 20s and now in my 30s to kind of go, yeah, I've been disconnected from enjoying how to learn things, and how do I actually reconnect with that? How do I make that work?
And it's so important. It is so important.
We learn every day.
Yes, exactly right. When I was at the store at Tops, I taught, I had in charge of teaching the cashiers and what have you like that. And it kills me now, still, when somebody just gives me my money like this and don't count my change back. And I remember going back to Philadelphia and visiting there, and I got upset with, yes, Della does get upset at things. Yes. With the cashier that did not count my change back. And my sister said, you shouldn't get upset, because they don't know. And that was when I was teaching at maybe I had narrow vision, but all my cashiers at Tops knew how to count their change back.
Maybe because you taught them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it spoils me. And so, so I stopped teaching. She got mad at me because she said, they don't know. And then when, I shouldn't be, no, I shouldn't do that because after all, they're not taught. So,
it's difficult because it's like, you'd think that it would be something that's pretty much like standard or simple, like.
Well, the machine. You got the computer.
You got a cash register.
Yeah.
It's however much. They hand you a $20 bill. You type in $20 and it says this is how much change they get. Yeah. You don't have to do the math. You don't have to do the work.
That's not right.
And that's convenient in the sense that it makes the checkout process expedited. Mm-hmm. It's maybe, not so beneficial for the individual as far as having concrete skills that they can use, not just in their job, but anywhere.
Anywhere.
I struggle to do math in my head. Mm-hmm. Basic addition and division. Sometimes I got to pull a calculator out for it, and I feel like stupid. But it's like, I didn't develop those skills, and I wasn't taught how to develop those skills.
That's right.
So it's a weak spot for me.
Yes.
So.
And you lost out.
Yeah, absolutely. And we all lose out in so many little ways, and it's really hard to quantify those little ways that we lose out on because we don't realize it until it's way later.
Yes, when you're away from it, then you realize that. Oops, I should have known that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you mind if I ask a little more about your trip overseas to Africa a little bit?
Oh, cool.
What region?
I can only talk. I can't talk about it by my family, but I can talk about it.
Well, where did you visit, and what what region?
We went West Africa. I was in Conakry. West Africa, and my station was in Concon, and not Concon. And it's 14 car rides against hot roads away. That's what it was. And I taught from ages 17 to 36.
Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
We did.
I was imagining little kids dressing for success when you said it earlier, but these are.
Yep,
wow. Okay.
Yeah. Well, that was they had other. This is the University of Concon, but I taught the university. Mm-hmm. They have other classes and stuff, but I mean in other schools, but I taught the university. And let's see, what else? I taught everything. English as a second language, math, business, history. I taught geography by using, in one lesson, Route 66.
Really?
There goes your geography, right? Make the trip from Chicago to LA. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. And and music, jazz. I taught everything. Our lessons were from 8 o'clock in the morning to about 12:30 because that's all we had electricity for. And my students were so anxious to learn. That's one thing that is so anxious, willing to learn.
Yeah.
And that they asked me to, they were from Mondays to Fridays, and they asked me to have another class, and that's on computers. Mm-hmm. So I taught computer literacy.
Wow, you really taught everything.
Everything.
Holy cow.
Everything. And my only thing was to ask them, all right, I want you to, because they wanted to get their English perfect as they possibly could. And so I said, okay, speak English. And when you're outside, you can speak, in your own language. There's about 7 different languages, different things in my group.
Wow.
So it was so awesome. Awesome.
From a logistics standpoint, though, that sounds quite like a challenge.
It was nice.
Talk about pulling it all together and making it work.
It was nice. It was so cool. And their textbooks was their copybooks. And you talk about good handwriting.
Yeah.
Talk about cursive.
Yeah.
Yes. It was
It
beautiful.
had to be good.
Yes. Yeah. That
And
was
there's such a deeper hunger for knowledge because I feel like knowledge is the gateway to getting to a better place.
I find that some of the most well-spoken activists that I've seen in recent years doing as much of the muckraking as we've done over the years, I find some of the most well-spoken, most determined activists in the world come from Africa these days. Whether that's, advocating for indigenous rights, like land rights or whatever, or water rights, or just simply lobbying for education. It's incredible the determination that comes out of that continent. It really is. And you spoke about the languages. I always get blown away when I'm listening to some history lessons on the region, and like you said, 7 languages. There's sometimes you'll have 4 dialects being spoken in a 20-mile radius.
That's right,
That's so culturally rich to me, and I love learning. I'm such a loser when it comes to that.
I think they should all just learn how to speak English.
Yeah, well, every child I bet I can say that without any degree of exaggeration. But every child that I saw, I knew that they spoke at least 3 different languages.
That's
from
incredible.
From a little kid. Yes, right. They got English because, after all, they knew, parents knew it's important. Yep. And French was the official language, and they had their own tribal language. Yeah, just at least 3.
And from such a young age, they're exposed to all 3. They're learning all 3 just naturally through existing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome. It was so cool.
Totally different. Totally different world.
It was so cool. Cool. Yeah. So cool. Yeah.
And I assume the university still operates to this day, yes?
Oh, yes.
Okay,
yes,
good.
Yes.
Do you ever...
They didn't stop because I left.
I know your family won't let you go back, but do you ever hear correspondence, or do you ever connect?
After that, my Yahoo account just died for some reason. I just not about. No, I had a Yahoo account. We all said we're going to keep in touch and da. But it just died. I could not get back in there.
Yeah.
Yahoo French. What you call? Yeah.
I relate to that because it's like you meet great people and you establish camaraderie. Oh, we'll keep in touch, and then you're out of sight, out of mind. And that's just it's just kind of tragic.
Yeah, I know. One other thing that I had truly intended to come back. I really did. I didn't expect to leave so soon, and I truly intended to come back. So during the first month or so, I said, "Okay, this is what we're going to do. I want you to write about yourself," and I gave him 3 different things to put in the letter and all. And then I'm going to take it back to the United States when I go back, and I'm going to have it scanned and put in a book. And it's all about you. And when I come back, I'll bring the book. But unfortunately, that did not happen. And since I lost contact with them, that's sad. It's sad for me. I think about them often. I think about that. So cool.
I feel like that's something that could be done today.
Absolutely.
About trying to reach out to them.
Well,
do you have like a little off topic, and this can be cut from the podcast or whatever. But do you have anyone with tech skills that can like maybe help you find a way to reconnect with the university, just so you can send them like a smoke signal saying I'm still here. Hello.
Oh, that's 2005.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So long.
I don't think any of them will be going.
We'll still.
Be
now,
finished.
what about? I wonder about the possibility of maybe finding some of your students on, I don't know, Facebook or some kind of social media and seeing if they're still out there and saying, hey, do you remember me? Do you remember this project? I'm trying to follow through on it. I have not forgotten about you guys. Is this something you're, see if they remember. That might
be something.
That might be something. Because, that's one of the beautiful things about today. It's like, we're so connected.
We are connected, yes, absolutely.
And also, it's kind of like we're maybe not connected in the right ways. It's such a powerful tool.
It is, yeah.
But, with great power comes great responsibility, right?
That's it. That's what, that would be a sermon.
I mean, it's kind of like they're good tools, but, if you use them constantly too much, you lose that ability to connect like this.
Yes.
And
I
think
love doing this.
that's the skill that is really important. I think that we're losing track of is we're so caught up in social media, keeping up with the Joneses, that we lose the ability to connect genuinely in person. We lose the ability to talk and have a conversation and see the genuine goodness.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to go to a restaurant nowadays and not see somebody on the phone, and the other person is just sitting there, and that's so, yeah. It's
a different world.
Yeah.
For better or for worse.
Yeah.
We've never had more information ready at our fingertips, but with so little idea what to do with it.
Well, and not just little idea of what to do with it, but lack of care about even accessing it.
With it. Yes. Do something with it. Yeah.
It's so easy that it's not worth it anymore.
Yeah.
It's so I don't need to know that. I can just Google it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't need to write cursive. I can just type on a keyboard.
Oh man, no, I still like my book. Although it's nice to have this with about 7-11, as the old folks say, 7-11 books in here. Like when I go, it's so convenient. Yeah, but I still like my book.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, it's like there's benefits to both, and in equal measure, you can get something good out of it.
Yes.
So, what sort of plans do you have for the rest of the year here at the center? What kind of events do you have coming up? What sort of developments do you have coming for 2024, and what plans do you have for 2025, if you're allowed to preview that?
Oh, well, he hasn't told me yet.
Oh, yeah? Yeah.
God is all, he hasn't told me what is going, but no, for 2025. But pretty soon we'll have ribbon cutting, and then after that we'll have grand opening. And Juneteenth is coming up. That's the last Saturday in June. And let's see what else we have. Speeches, of course, here. We're going to have Selma back. Kim and Mary's going to come back for Selma. And we're having another pastor friend of mine, Wes Gilbert. He did a wonderful thing on the Black presence in the Bible, and very well received. And he's coming back. All right. We have every month we have a jam session. It's just people who want to get together and just play. No pressure or anything like that. You bring some music to share with people, even original music. Let's see, and that's every month. Let's see what else we have. We're planning to do another lunch on the porch like we had when they were doing
the mural.
The murals. Yes, we have just once in a while. Lunch with Della or something like that, or coffee with Della or something like that. That wasn't me. That was the marketing people that we asked to help. Said, well, why don't you have something with Della doing something? So yeah, so that's what we're having so far. Eventually, my dream is to have a parade that goes from the mall downtown Olean around to the Lincoln Park, talk about the history of that, and come down to the center and then have a big soiree.
That would be wonderful.
I'd like to have one Juneteenth.
I was going to say that sounds like a Juneteenth celebration.
We were going to do it earlier for the year before last, but it just was cost effective. It was just.
I was going to say the logistics of that are probably need some consideration.
And we have enough room here to do it. And JCC is wonderful enough to let us use their parking lot. So I'd like to do it. Yeah. And it would only, you're all right?
Oh, yeah, it's okay.
I'm sorry. It would be right from our driveway, so it won't mess with the neighbor, like that. So that's my dream one day. Yeah. And I want other people to be involved in doing that. Like the Native Americans. And Asians and and everybody who would like to put together a float. Oh my gosh, that would be awesome.
Like a multicultural parade.
Yes,
Yeah.
that would be so cool.
Because it's
I
really a
love that.
celebration of people and freedom and real like freedom.
Yes.
That's what it's really supposed to be about for everyone, for all of us.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Any final thoughts?
Oh, just thank you very much for this. This is awesome. This is so cool.
I've
But
got-
Noah's etching for something.
I haven't been doing our last couple interviews. I didn't get them in the last question, but I've been copying this question from a host over at the Hoover Institute who does interviews kind of like this too. And his favorite way to end interviews is to use a Claire Luce quote, which is, men, women throughout history usually are remembered by a single line, whether it's, FDR helped win World War II, Wilson dropped the nuke, Lincoln freed slaves. How's Della Moore going to be remembered by history?
By the life she lives.
Yeah,
That's
by the
it.
life she lives.
That's it. I want that to speak for me.
I think that's perfect, personally.
Absolutely.
That's not original. That's an old gospel tune. That's not original. The life I live speak for me, because heaven knows I'm not perfect. I make some dumb mistakes. Dumb stuff.
You know what? That's life. That's the best part
What do we
of life,
have to
is
laugh
to make
about
those
if we
dumb
don't do
mistakes
that,
and then
right?
laugh about it.
Yeah.
And learn from it and grow from it.
Yeah, you got to see us make a few when we were setting up today.
No. I thought that was by design. You just showing off.
Oh, it was. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Well, Della, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to talk to us. We really,
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
and if we were lucky enough to do this again down the road,
Okay.
we'd love to come back.
Absolutely.
We could
You're
very
welcome.
easily do
You're
a part
welcome.
2.
Yeah.
You're welcome. You're
Yeah.
entirely welcome.
Absolutely.
Absolutely welcome. I'd be hurt if you didn't.